Writers, welcome to Graphic Novels. I'm so excited. This is our unit for that we're studying next, and it's going to be a great one because I know if you're looking at this page, you're saying to yourself, "Oh my God, I've read that book, and I've read that book, and I've read that book." So many of you are way in on graphic novels, and it's easy to see why. I think they're a lot of fun because they don't just tell the story with words; they use pictures and a lot of other things to be able to tell the story. And it kind of helps you, the reader, to sort of understand the story even deeper than maybe you would with just words. So we are going to be studying graphic novels. We're going to be making our own graphic novels, and I can't wait to get started. So today we are going to be studying a graphic novel mentor text, and we're going to discover how the author tells the story through words, pictures, and other features. How do we do that? All right, we got to read the story, and we have to be noticing what the characters say and do to advance the story. But then we got to take a look at the pictures, and we got to ask ourselves, well, how do the pictures help tell the story? And then we also need to think about the choices the author makes with the panels, captions, speech, and thought bubbles and coloring, and ask, well, how do these choices help me to better understand what's happening in the story? Okay, I just said that. Were there any words in there that maybe you're not familiar with? Very helpful to us is this vocabulary list. There are vocabulary in here that I'm sure you probably know. Many of you know what a graphic novel is. It's like a book, comic book, right? But many of you might even know what a panel is, an individual frame or a single drawing. So for example, in this little illustration here, these are different panels, right? Each of them is a panel, okay? But what you might not know is a word like gutter. So that's the white space in between the panels, right? So it's really important for us to study some of this vocabulary and get to know some of it. So for example, there's a difference between the dialogue balloons and speech bubbles and captions and narration. Thought balloons are different from dialogue balloons, okay? So use this vocabulary work to help you as we study this mentor text, because it's going to help you later on to do great stuff in your own work. All right, so this is our mentor text, Stinky. I can't wait to share this with you. Some of you might have seen this last year and be a little familiar with it, but it's a funny text and it's really interesting. So if we're looking at the cover here, we have a character here. This guy, I can't really see it, but his shirt's kind of half covered up, but his name is Stinky. He looks like he's got a water balloon here, and he's like, shh, a kid is coming. And like, here's a kid over here, and he looks confused. So already from here, you can kind of see that these two have a relationship. I think that they're maybe enemies right now. Stinky's gonna have something planned for this kid, right? All right, let's get started. Chapter 1. It's morning in Stinky's cave. Yeah. Time to wake up, Ward Belly. Zzz, zzz, zzz. And here's the pet toad. It says. All right, so just with this first page of chapter 1, we read the story, and we need to notice what the characters say and do to advance the story. Well, it says time to wake up, Ward Belly. So I'm pretty sure, based on the fact that Stinky looks like he's waking up, and he's telling the toad to wake up, that it's probably morning, right? And it says, and the caption here, it says it's morning in Stinky's cave, right? So all of those things help advance the story. We know it's morning. Maybe this bird even hints that it's morning, because we see birds a lot of times in the early morning, right? That's when they come out. But there's other things we want to notice as well. We want to notice some of the pictures here. So for example, there are these bats, right, that are hanging from the top of Stinky's cave. We want to notice how, if it's not clear why this guy is called Stinky, look around, right? There's a ton of smelly things. So for example, pickled eggs, if you know what pickled eggs smell like, they're very gross. They smell kind of like farty. Pickled bananas, I have no idea what that is, but I can imagine maybe it's gross. I know rotten bananas are kind of stinky. Vinegar, that's smelly, right? And he's got a little jar next to it. Honestly, I think he loves being smelly. I don't think anybody has like little plants in vinegar that doesn't like smelling. And then look at the bird has a little clothespin on his nose, and there's flies coming off of this toad, right? There's a ton of smelly things around. But I also want to look at the choices that the author has made with the panel and the captions and speech and things like thought bubbles. There's not really thought bubbles in here, but this one is kind of interesting because it's like, here is like a speech bubble, but then this part over here is kind of like, you know, wobbly, and it says yawn, and I think that kind of helps convey, like, you know, when you first wake up, and you're yawn, and your voice is maybe a little bit wobbly. I think that that's what they're trying to like share with that. Look at this panel here though. This whole thing, it's not like a regular box, right? Like they have like really tried to like convey that this is that he's living in, like, I think a cave, because there's like spider webs and bats. Like bats live in a cave, right? It says morning in Stinky's cave. But this panel right here and how it comes in like this, it kind of looks like a cave would, you know, if you see a picture of a cave, like these like stalactites, little icicle type things. So the writer's kind of like conveying to you, the reader, a lot of information through these panel choices, through the captions, through the speech bubbles, right? Oh, this is like a, if you didn't know this was a toad or you thought it was a frog, it's a pet toad, right? They're giving you like captions here. That's going to help you as the reader to sort of like understand what's happening. All right, so I showed you this. And there's really two questions you got to ask yourself. As I said, how do the pictures help tell the story? How do the choices the author made with panels, captions, speech, and thought bubbles and coloring help me to better understand what's happening in the story? So you're going to do this work along with the class, and I'm going to tell you how it's going to work. First of all, I want you to practice. Take a moment to read this and notice what's happening here, okay? It says, good morning, rats. Hi, Stinky. Good morning, bats. Brush, brush, brush. Yum, pickled onions. And then, I love a smelly day. Good morning, Stinky. Hi, Stinky. Hi. Morning, Stinky. Hi. There. Stinky. Hi. Good morning, Stinky. Hi, Stinky. Come on, Wartbelly. Time to go out. I love the mud in my swamp. Muddy swamp. Wartbelly. I love possums in the possum tree. There's a possum. Hello, Stinky. Don't fall in that pit. Danger. Bottomless pit. Uh-oh. So what are you noticing here? Take a moment now. You can pause the video and just take a look. And what are you noticing? What are some of the pictures and how do they help tell a story? And then how do the choices the author made with these panels, captions, speech and thought bubbles, and coloring help you to better understand what's happening in the story? Pause now and do that work. Okay, you're back. So I'm hoping you noticed these three panels kind of show Stinky's morning routine, right? He's like waking up and brushing his hair and like saying hi to the rats. He's like brushing his teeth with crust, it looks like. That's gross. And is saying good morning to the bats. And then, look, he's eating breakfast. I'm assuming that pickled onions is a breakfast that he eats, right? I'm also, hope you notice that the panels without a box or the frame, the plants act as the frame. So you see over here, this author, this illustrator is really talented. Look at that. You can already tell that that's a panel, even though there's no box around it, right? Because these plants kind of frame up the panel. And so it's very clear that this is a panel, even though there's no box around it, right? Did you notice that the sun is coming up over the cave? That also helps to tell the story that it's morning, right? It shows that it's morning. Did you notice that the animals, some of the animals think that he's smelly, and those are the ones that have clothespin over their noses. So the bird thinks he's smelling. The squirrel thinks he's smelling. Not that they're holding it against him, like they're saying hi still, right? But then some of the animals, they don't mind his smell, or they don't have clothespins over their noses. So for these looks like frogs here, and the turtle and the alligator, I think they're fine with him being smelly. Oh, this porcupine here, obviously he's not feeling it, right? This bottomless pit, did you see this one? This bottomless pit, I think it could be some foreshadowing, right? Don't fall in that pit, right? I think it's kind of leading to like could be a problem. And then Stinky has a lot of animal friends, if you're noticing here. A lot of the animals are saying good morning and hello. It seems like you have a lot of friends. So they don't really hold his smell against him, I think. And then it says the colors of the swamp. So it's if you're noticing, the authors made some really interesting choices here to convey that it's a swamp. Not only is it brown and muddy, but all of the other there's different shades of brown, right? It really helps to convey the fact that this is a swamp. It's kind of earth tones, earthy, muddy colors. Okay, so if you didn't notice all that, don't worry, but I want you to be thinking about this as you go into the next bit. Okay, what are you doing? So you are going to be continuing this study of this mentor text, and you're going to be noticing the things that this author is telling, how they tell the story through the words, pictures, and other features. So on the following pages of Stinky, you are going to read the story. You're going to notice what the characters say and do to advance the story. But you're also going to look at the pictures. You're going to ask, how do the pictures help tell the story? You've got to look at the choices the author made with panels, captions, speech, and thought bubbles, and coloring. And you got to ask, how do these choices help me to better understand what's happening in the story? When you do that, you are actually going to be making a comment and a post on the page. And then you are also going to be reading what your classmates notice on this deck of slides. So you're going to be seeing, noticing maybe on one page your classmate noticed something and maybe you noticed something similar. You're going to be making a comment about what you noticed, and you got to be specific and make sure to sign your name. So let me show you how this works here. So here is the next page of Stinky that I read. So there is a slide here. It says, I noticed. In the third panel, there's a caption that shows the little creatures are slugs, right there. Boop. I think that it helps the reader who never saw a slug before know what it is. And that's signed Ms. Williams, okay? So that's an example right there. That's what you need to do. So not only what you noticed, but also how does it help the reader kind of help to understand the story, all right? So get started on this. You're gonna be able to comment one comment about what you noticed, and you got to be specific. You have to make sure that you are not only what you're noticing, but also how does it help the reader to understand what's happening in the story.